Welcome to Tech Disruptions, deep dives into the technologies reshaping industries, from AI to quantum to biotech. Let's get into it.
74%. That's the share of all economic value from AI being captured by just 20% of companies. Forget the hype about AI leveling the playing field. A new report suggests it's actually creating a massive divide.
It's a stark reality. For years, there has been talk about AI democratizing access and boosting everyone's productivity. But this isn't just a marginal difference. The top 20% are generating 7.2 times more value than their competitors.
So most companies, the vast majority, are essentially losing the AI money game. They're investing, they're experimenting, but they're seeing almost no return.
Precisely. The term the report uses is pilot purgatory. 80% of organizations are stuck in perpetual experimentation with very little to show for it financially. It's a sobering counterpoint to the widespread narrative of AI success.
That number, 74% of the value going to just 20% of companies, it's not just a little skewed. That's an almost brutal concentration of wealth and power. What exactly is happening here?
The PwC AI Performance Study, which surveyed over 1,200 senior executives, truly pulls back the curtain. For too long, the success metrics for AI were things like number of pilots run or user licenses. This report says that's all vanity. The new dividing line is auditable financial outcomes.
So it's not about how many AI tools you have, but what those tools are actually doing for the bottom line. And for most companies, the answer is not much.
Exactly. The same report found that 56% of CEOs reported zero revenue increase or cost reduction from their AI investments in the preceding year. It's worth noting that more than half of all CEOs are seeing no tangible financial benefit from their AI spending. It's a huge disconnect between activity and value.
That's a critical point. Plenty of companies have certainly been seen to proudly announce their AI strategy or new AI initiatives, but the report suggests that's just theater for many.
It is. The top 20% aren't just incrementally better, they're operating on a different plane. The study uses an AI fitness index to measure management and investment practices. These leading companies generate 7.2 times more value, whether that's revenue or efficiency gains, from AI than their peers. And it shows up directly in their profits, 4 percentage points higher margins.
4 percentage points is significant, especially at scale. It sounds like this isn't just about small optimizations, but a fundamental reshaping of market dynamics.
Absolutely. The leaders are creating a virtuous cycle. The higher returns they get from AI allow them to invest even more, develop more advanced capabilities, which then generates even greater returns. It accelerates their lead. Meanwhile, the lagging 80% are essentially treading water, trying to catch up, but often falling further behind.
So, if the majority are getting so little out of it, what's the fundamental difference in approach? Are they just using the wrong AI models, or is it something deeper about how they think about the technology?
The core reason for this divergence isn't really about the specific AI models, it's about strategy. The lagging majority, the 80% stuck in pilot purgatory, treat AI as an efficiency tool. They view it as a way to do existing tasks slightly faster, maybe cut a few costs.
Like automating some back-office functions or using a chatbot for customer service.
Precisely. They're asking, how can AI make us 10% faster? But the top 20%, the AI leaders, are asking a profoundly different question. What new business can we build with AI that was impossible before? They see AI as a reinvention engine.
A reinvention engine? That's a powerful phrase. What does that mean in practice? What are these leading companies actually doing differently?
They're 2.6 times more likely to use AI to fundamentally reinvent their business models, and they're 2 to 3 times more likely to use it to spot and seize growth opportunities outside their traditional industry boundaries. This concept of industry convergence is key.
So, not just optimizing what they already do, but actively looking for new revenue streams, new markets, even new products or services that AI makes possible?
Exactly. Consider the example of Amazon. They didn't just use their data to sell books faster, they leveraged their massive data set on consumer behavior, combined with their operational expertise, to build entirely new multi-billion-dollar businesses in cloud computing with AWS and advertising. Or Netflix, which uses viewership data not just to recommend existing shows, but to greenlight and produce entirely original content tailored to specific audience tastes.
That's a great analogy. It's the difference between using a calculator to do arithmetic faster versus using a supercomputer to model entirely new scientific breakthroughs. The tool changes not just the speed, but the scope of what's possible.
It's the difference between a better version of an aging model, which is where the 80% are, and preparing for a new competitive landscape, which is what the 20% are doing. The report emphasizes that AI leaders are overwhelmingly focused on top-line growth, not just cost-cutting. As PwC's Global Chief AI Officer, Joe Atkinson, put it, the leaders stand out because they point AI at growth, not just cost reduction.
So the strategy informs the outcome. But how does that strategic difference manifest operationally? Are the leaders just better at integrating these tools, or is it a more fundamental redesign?
It's a fundamental redesign. The strategic divide between efficiency and reinvention has direct operational consequences. The lagging 80% are essentially trying to bolt on sophisticated AI tools to outdated, inefficient legacy systems. It's like strapping a jet engine to a horse-drawn cart.
The Frankenstein problem, as some have called it, a patchwork system.
A perfect description. Imagine a company trying to improve customer service with a 15-year-old CRM, manual data entry, and a convoluted approval process. They slap a generative AI chatbot on the front. The chatbot might handle simple queries, but as soon as it needs meaningful information, it hits the old, fragmented system. Data is siloed, performance is throttled, and the underlying process remains inefficient.
So the AI is only as good as the infrastructure it's bolted onto. If that infrastructure is broken, the AI can't magically fix it.
Exactly. Integrating AI into legacy environments brings a host of challenges: data incompatibility, scalability barriers because old infrastructure lacks the computational power, and security risks from exposing sensitive data. It creates brittle, complex systems that can't deliver transformative results.
What are the leaders doing instead? How did they avoid this Frankenstein problem?
The winning companies aren't just installing new software, they're fundamentally redesigning their workflows. The data shows that AI leaders are 2.8 times more likely to have increased the number of business decisions made without human intervention. This is the critical distinction.
Decisions made without human intervention. That sounds like a significant leap beyond just assisting a human.
It is. Instead of using AI to assist a human who then performs the old workflow, the leaders are building new workflows where the AI is the decision maker, albeit within carefully defined guardrails. Consider an AI system that autonomously adjusts pricing in real time based on supply chain data and competitor actions, or one that automatically approves insurance claims under a certain threshold. These are not suggestions for a human to approve. They are autonomous actions executing core business processes.
So it's moving from AI as a smart tool to AI as an active agent.
That's right. The report notes that the laggards are often stuck with single prompt generative outputs, using AI as a glorified search engine. The leaders, however, are moving toward more sophisticated agentic systems. They are 1.8 times more likely to use AI to execute multiple tasks autonomously.
Can you give an example of an agentic system in action?
Certainly. A simple generative AI might be asked to draft an email to a supplier about a late shipment. An agentic AI, on the other hand, could be instructed to resolve the late shipment from supplier X. It would then autonomously access order history, check contract clauses for penalties, contact the supplier system for an updated ETA, evaluate alternative suppliers, and then either present a recommended course of action or, if authorized, execute it.
That's a dramatic difference in capability and impact. It means the 80% are essentially putting a new coat of paint on a crumbling foundation, while the 20% are building an entirely new foundation. But if this autonomous decision-making is so powerful, why isn't everyone racing to do it? What's holding them back?
The main bottleneck is fear and a fundamental lack of trust. The bottom 80% are paralyzed by the risks associated with AI: hallucinations, data leaks, biased outcomes, potential brand damage. The prospect of an AI making critical business decisions without a human in the loop is simply too daunting for most.
Those are valid concerns, though. Examples of AI going awry have been widely observed. So, how do the leading companies overcome that fear? Do they just accept more risk?
Counterintuitively, they don't accept more risk, they manage it better. The report reveals a paradox. More governance actually leads to more speed. AI leaders are more likely to have robust governance structures in place. They're 1.7 times more likely to have a strict responsible AI framework and 1.5 times more likely to have a cross-functional AI governance board.
That goes against the traditional wisdom that more oversight means more bureaucracy and slower innovation.
It does, but these frameworks aren't about saying no to AI. They're about creating the conditions under which an organization can confidently say yes to automation. A strong governance framework provides clear rules of the road. It defines the guardrails within which AI systems can operate autonomously. It establishes processes for vetting data, testing for bias, monitoring model performance, and ensuring human oversight for high-stakes decisions.
So, it's not about being lax, but about being rigorous in a way that builds confidence?
Exactly. This systematic approach to managing risk gives leaders the confidence to take the human out of the loop for a growing number of decisions. And the ultimate benefit of this strong governance is internal trust.
Internal trust? You mean among employees?
Yes, when employees understand that the AI systems have been rigorously vetted, that there are clear lines of accountability, and that the outputs are reliable, they are more willing to use them and, crucially, to rely on them. The PwC study found that employees at leading companies are twice as likely to actually trust AI outputs because these guardrails exist.
That makes sense. If one does not trust the system, there is a tendency to double-check everything it does, which defeats the purpose of automation.
It's the lubricant for scale. When employees trust the AI, they don't feel the need to constantly second-guess their outputs or perform manual workarounds. Adoption increases, workflows are streamlined, and the intended value of the AI is actually realized. In low-trust environments, even the most powerful AI becomes shelfware, a tool that's deployed but not truly integrated into how work gets done.
So, to summarize this point, the companies that move faster with AI are actually the ones who put the most effort into building structured governance and fostering trust. It's a foundational step, not an impediment.
Precisely. Organizations must slow down on governance to ultimately speed up on automation. It's a crucial paradox.
Given all this, the stark lack of return for 80% of companies, the fundamental strategic and operational differences, why do so many companies keep funding these failing AI initiatives? Why stay in pilot purgatory if it's not working?
That's where the discussion moves beyond technology and strategy and into corporate politics, human psychology, and misaligned incentives. The primary driver is pressure from the top, CEO fear of missing out, or FOMO.
FOMO, even at the CEO level?
Absolutely. In the current environment, having an AI strategy is non-negotiable for any CEO. Boards of directors, spooked by headlines about disruption, are demanding action. This creates intense pressure. The path of least resistance is to fund a flurry of visible, high-profile pilot programs.
So it's about being seen to be doing something rather than actually achieving something.
For many, yes. This allows the CEO to report to the board that the company is investing heavily in AI, regardless of whether those investments are generating any value. The focus becomes activity, not outcomes.
And once those initiatives start, one can imagine the institutional inertia kicks in.
That's the sunk cost fallacy at an institutional scale. IT departments that have spent millions on software, cloud infrastructure, and specialized talent have a powerful incentive to justify that expenditure. Killing a pilot program, even a failing one, can be seen as an admission of failure. It's often politically safer to keep the project alive in a zombie state, pilot purgatory, producing endless slide decks and demos that suggest progress is just around the corner.
So rather than cutting their losses, they keep pouring resources into projects that aren't going anywhere just because they've already invested so much.
Exactly. And often, these failures aren't even due to the technology itself, but to organizational and operational issues like data readiness or workflow integration. Yet, companies continue to treat it as a technology problem, buying more software instead of fixing the underlying foundational cracks.
How do the leading 20% avoid this trap? They must also have pilots that don't pan out.
They operate with a different, more ruthless logic. The PwC data shows that AI leaders are 1.3 times more likely to ruthlessly reallocate financial and human resources toward high-value AI projects the moment business priorities shift. They are not afraid to kill what isn't working.
That's a key distinction, a willingness to cut bait quickly.
It is. As Martin Duffy, head of AI at PwC Ireland, noted, AI return on investment comes down to execution discipline, clear metrics, fast stop or scale decisions, and designs built for reuse. These leaders define clear financial metrics for success before a pilot begins. If those metrics aren't met, the project is terminated, and its budget and staff are immediately moved to a more promising initiative.
That creates a culture of accountability. The goal isn't just to run AI projects, but to graduate them into production systems that genuinely impact the profit and loss statement.
Right. While the bottom 80% are trapped by the politics of sunk costs and the theater of innovation, the top 20% are compounding their lead through disciplined capital allocation, ensuring their best resources are always focused on their biggest opportunities.
This discussion has offered a fascinating look into why AI, despite all the hype, is creating such a profound economic divide. It's not just about having the technology, but how you wield it.
Absolutely. The research underscores several critical insights. First, AI success isn't about adoption, but about auditable financial outcomes. The user metric is dead. The value metric is paramount.
And that value comes from treating AI not as an efficiency tool, but as a reinvention engine for new business models and growth opportunities.
Precisely. That leads to the second insight. The leaders are tearing down and rebuilding workflows for autonomous decision-making, rather than simply bolting AI onto broken legacy systems. They're creating truly agentic systems.
Which brings the discussion to the third point. Trust isn't a luxury, it's a prerequisite for scale. Strong governance frameworks, rather than slowing things down, actually build the internal trust needed for employees to rely on and adopt AI at scale.
And finally, the incentives often get it wrong. The majority are stuck in pilot purgatory due to CEO FOMO and the sunk cost fallacy, while leaders ruthlessly reallocate resources to truly promising initiatives. It's a hard lesson in execution discipline.
So, for listeners, the practical implication is that simply investing in AI isn't enough. It's about how you strategically apply it, how you operationally integrate it, and how you foster trust and accountability around it.
Indeed, the market is brutally rewarding those who can translate AI activity into measurable financial impact. The question now becomes how many companies are willing to critically assess their current AI efforts and make those difficult strategic and operational shifts, rather than just continuing to play catch-up.
That's all for this episode of Tech Disruptions. Join us next time as we keep exploring the technologies reshaping our world. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Stay curious out there.